William, a hardworking single dad, finds himself falling for someone for the first time in years. But that someone is his boss, Ava. One day, a playful text meant for his best friend accidentally gets sent to Ava instead. This innocent mistake turns his world upside down. Will this error cost him his job? Or will it change everything? This story is packed with suspense, romance, and a shocking twist that will keep you glued until the very end. If you want to know what happened after this mistake, don't skip this story. Let me know in the comments what you think. How do you think Ava replied? Don't forget to like and subscribe because in the next episode we'll reveal even more shocking secrets. 6 a.m. The alarm rang. William opened his eyes and took a deep breath. This was his daily routine: wake up, make breakfast, get his 7-year-old son Jake ready for school, then head to the office. Handling everything alone wasn't easy, but William had no choice. His wife had left him 2 years ago, leaving Jake behind. Since then, William had been playing both roles, a responsible dad and a dedicated employee. William dropped Jake off at school and drove toward the office. Only one thing was on his mind: today's presentation. He wanted to impress his boss, Ava Martinez. Ava wasn't just his boss, she was the company's youngest and most successful female executive. Everyone knew about her sharp business mind, but for William, Ava was something more. When William first saw Ava 6 months ago, his heart had beaten again after so long. Ava's long, golden blonde hair was always loose and open, cascading down her shoulders in beautiful waves. Today, when she arrived at the office, William's eyes caught her outfit: a crisp white shirt with a deep V-neck that showed her confidence, paired with a black short leather skirt that perfectly captured her professional yet bold personality. Ava walked with authority, but her smile was warm and genuine. William shook himself. "Control yourself," he muttered. He knew these feelings weren't appropriate. She was his boss, and he needed this job desperately. For Jake, for their future, he couldn't take any risks. The presentation went well. Ava looked at William and smiled. "Good work, William." "I'm impressed," she said. Her voice was professional, but there was warmth in her blue eyes that made William's heart skip a beat. "Thank you, Ava," William said, trying to sound casual. During lunch break, William sat at his desk eating a sandwich when a text came from his best friend Marcus. "Dude, how's work? Still crushing on your boss?" William smiled and started typing a response, or at least he thought he was replying to Marcus. He quickly typed, "Bro, you have no idea, my boss is so hot today. White shirt with that deep neck, black leather skirt, those long blonde waves cascading down. I literally can't focus on anything. She's driving me crazy." He pressed send and put his phone down, turning his attention back to his sandwich. He had no idea that his life was about to completely change in the next few seconds. Beep. A notification. William picked up his phone and looked at the screen. His heart stopped completely. Message successfully sent to Ava Martinez. His hands started shaking violently. No. This couldn't be happening. This was a nightmare. He frantically opened his messages, praying it was a mistake, a glitch, anything. But there it was, clear as day, his message, sent to Ava. Not Marcus, Ava, and below it the most devastating words he'd ever seen. Read 12:47 p.m. She'd seen it. She'd read every word. There was no taking it back, no unsending it, no pretending it didn't happen. William felt like he was going to be sick. His career was over. His job was gone. How would he support Jake? What would he tell his son? That daddy got fired because he couldn't control his inappropriate feelings. His phone buzzed again. Another message. New message from Ava Martinez. William's entire body trembled as he opened it. "My office, now." 2 words, just 2 simple words, but they felt like a death sentence. William stood up, his legs feeling like jelly. The walk from his desk to Ava's office felt like walking to his execution. Every step was torture. His mind raced through 1,000 scenarios, none of them good. Would she yell at him? Call HR? Have security escort him out? He deserved all of it. What he'd done was inexcusable, unprofessional, completely inappropriate. He reached Ava's office door. It was half open. He could see her sitting at her desk, completely still, her face unreadable. William knocked softly. "Come in, close the door." Ava's voice came, controlled and giving nothing away. William stepped inside and closed the door behind him. Ava was sitting behind her desk, her hands folded on the surface, her expression completely neutral. Those usually warm blue eyes were now cool and distant. The silence that followed was unbearable. Ava just looked at him, studying him, and William felt like he was being dissected under her penetrating gaze. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. Ava, I am so incredibly sorry, he blurted out, his words tumbling over each other. That message was meant for my friend Marcus. I was being stupid and completely inappropriate and unprofessional. There's absolutely no excuse for what I said. None whatsoever. If you want me to resign right now, I'll do it. I'll pack my things and leave immediately. I'm so sorry, please, I'm so sorry. He was rambling, desperate, but he couldn't stop. The words just kept pouring out. Ava held up one hand, and William immediately fell silent. "Sit down, William," she said, her voice still frustratingly neutral. William sat in the chair across from her desk, feeling like a child called to the principal's office. His heart was pounding so hard he thought it might burst out of his chest. Ava leaned back in her chair, her fingers steepled under her chin. She studied him for what felt like an eternity. "So," she finally said, "you think I'm hot?" It wasn't a question. It was a statement, matter of fact. William's face burned with embarrassment. That's not, I mean. You didn't answer my question, William," Ava interrupted, and was that a hint of amusement in her voice? "Do you think I'm hot?" William didn't know what to say. Admitting it felt like professional suicide, but lying seemed completely pointless now. Yes, he said quietly, staring at his hands. "You're a very beautiful woman. But that absolutely doesn't excuse what I did. It was completely inappropriate, and I'm deeply ashamed." "Why?" William looked up, confused. "Why what? Why is it inappropriate?" Ava asked, leaning forward now, her elbows on the desk. "Because I'm your boss, because we work together. Or because you think having normal human feelings is somehow wrong." William was completely lost now. What was happening here? This wasn't the conversation he'd expected. All of those reasons, I suppose." Ava stood up and walked around her desk, leaning against the front of it casually. The leather skirt made a soft sound as she moved. She was now just a few feet from William, looking down at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Let me tell you something about being a young woman in a position of power, William," she said, her voice softer now, more personal. "Do you know what it's like? Everyone either thinks you slept your way to the top, or they're absolutely terrified to even look at you the wrong way. Male colleagues treat you like you're made of fragile glass or like you're their mortal enemy. No one just sees you as a regular human being." She paused, and William saw something vulnerable flash across her usually controlled face. "But you do. You've always treated me like a person. Not like a boss to be feared, not like a woman to be objectified or handled carefully, just a person. You listen when I talk. You bring real ideas, not just yes-man agreement. You stay late to help on projects without expecting anything in return or making a big show of it. Do you have any idea how rare that is in this industry?" William didn't know what to say. He just stared at her, his mind trying desperately to process what was happening. "That text you sent," Ava continued, a small smile playing at her lips, "was it inappropriate? Technically, yes. Should you have been more careful about who you were sending it to? Definitely. But was it also the most honest, genuinely human thing anyone has said to me in months?" "Absolutely." William's mouth opened, but no words came out. He felt like he'd entered an alternate reality. Ava's smile grew. "I'm not going to fire you, William. I'm not even going to write you up or report this to HR. Because if I'm being completely honest with you," she paused, seeming to gather courage, "I've noticed you too." "What?" William finally managed to croak out, his voice barely above a whisper. "Oh, come on," Ava said, and now she was definitely teasing him. "You think I haven't noticed the way you look at me when you think I'm not paying attention? The way you always have my favorite coffee ready before big meetings, the complicated one with oat milk that nobody else remembers. The way you volunteer to stay late specifically on my projects. I'm observant, William. Being observant is literally part of my job description." William felt like the entire world had tilted on its axis. You noticed all that?" "Of course I noticed. And I didn't say anything because I wasn't completely sure if I was reading too much into it. If maybe I was just seeing what I wanted to see. But now," she gestured at his phone, still clutched tightly in his trembling hand. "Now I know for certain I wasn't imagining things. So," William tried to wrap his head around this impossible situation, "you're really not angry with me?" "Angry." Number amused, a little bit. "Flattered, definitely," Ava said. Then her expression became more serious, more thoughtful. "But we do need to talk honestly about the reality of this situation, William." Here it comes, William thought. The reality check. But that changes everything. "I'm your boss," Ava said carefully. "Anything romantic between us would be complicated. It could potentially cause problems for you, for me, for the entire company." There are policies, power dynamics to consider. And you have a son to think about. I can't and won't put your job at risk, William. That wouldn't be fair to you or to Jake. William nodded slowly, feeling his brief moment of hope starting to deflate like a punctured balloon. I understand completely. But, Ava said, and William's head snapped up at that word, who says we can't get to know each other outside of work, as friends at least to start? No pressure, no expectations, no complicated work dynamics. Just see what happens naturally between two people who clearly enjoy each other's company. William couldn't believe what he was hearing. His brain struggled to catch up. You want to hang out with me outside of work? I'm suggesting coffee this Saturday if you're free. Somewhere definitely not here, not anywhere near this office. No work talk whatsoever. Just two people having a normal conversation and getting to know each other better. What do you say? A genuine smile slowly spread across William's face for the first time since this nightmare began. I'd really like that. I'd really like that. Ava smiled back, warm and genuine. Good, I'm glad. Now get back to work before people start talking about why you've been in my office for so long with the door closed. And William. Yeah, next time you want to text your friend about how hot you think I am, maybe triple-check the recipient first. William laughed, feeling lighter than he had in years. Maybe since before his divorce. I absolutely promise I will. Saturday morning arrived bright and clear. William had dropped Jake off at his parents' house for the day, telling them he had errands to run. His mother had given him a knowing look. She could always read him perfectly, but mercifully didn't ask questions. Now William stood outside the small coffee shop, his heart racing with nervous excitement. He'd changed his outfit 3 times that morning, finally settling on dark jeans and a blue button-down shirt, casual but nice. He'd even trimmed his beard carefully. Taking a deep breath, he pushed open the door. Ava was already there, sitting at a corner table by the large window. When she saw him, she waved and smiled. William was struck again by how beautiful she was, but today was different. She wasn't in her usual power suits and professional heels. She wore simple jeans and a soft gray sweater that made her blue eyes even more striking. Her long blonde hair was pulled back in a casual ponytail. She looked younger, more relaxed, more approachable. Hi, William said, sliding into the seat across from her, suddenly feeling shy. Hi, Ava said back, and he noticed her fingers playing with her coffee cup, spinning it slowly. Was she nervous, too? They ordered coffee. William got his usual black coffee. Ava ordered something complicated with oat milk and vanilla. And for the first few minutes, they talked about safe, easy topics. The weather, the neighborhood, harmless office gossip about the new intern who'd somehow managed to crash the entire server. But then Ava set down her cup and looked at William directly, seriously. Tell me about Jake, she said, genuine interest clear in her voice. Really tell me. I want to know about your son, about being a single dad, all of it. And something in the sincere interest in her voice made William open up completely. He told her everything about Jake's current obsession with dinosaurs and how he could name every species and their time periods. He told her about the difficult nights when Jake asked about his mom, and William had to find the right words to explain why she wasn't there without making Jake think any of it was his fault. He told her about attending parent-teacher conferences alone, being the only dad at school plays in a sea of moms, the constant gnawing worry that he wasn't doing enough, wasn't being enough. You're doing an incredible job, Ava said softly when he finished, her eyes warm with understanding. Jake is really lucky to have you as his father. I don't always feel like I am, William admitted honestly. Sometimes I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water, just surviving day to day. That's called being a parent, Ava said with a gentle smile. At least that's what my sister constantly tells me. She has 3 kids, and she says the exact same thing all the time. But from the outside looking in, she's absolutely incredible. I think you're probably the same way, too close to see how well you're actually doing. What about you? William asked, genuinely curious. Tell me something I don't know about Ava Martinez, the woman, not the executive. Ava's expression became thoughtful, a bit complicated. Well, I love old movies. Classic Hollywood from the 40s and 50s, Casablanca, Roman Holiday, all of those. And I bake when I'm stressed, though I'm absolutely terrible at it. I once made cookies so hard they could legitimately be used as weapons. William laughed genuinely. I'd love to try those dangerous cookies someday. Careful what you wish for, Ava teased, her eyes sparkling. Hours flew by like minutes. They talked about everything. Their lives, their dreams, their fears, their embarrassing moments. William told her about his failed attempt to learn guitar and how it now sat in his closet collecting dust and guilt. Ava told her about her big, loud, traditional family who didn't quite understand her career ambitions or why she'd moved across the country for a job. When they finally walked out of the coffee shop, the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink. "I had a really wonderful time," Ava said, and she sounded almost surprised by it. "Me too," William replied, not wanting the day to end. "Can we do this again? Maybe next weekend?" "I'd really like that," Ava smiled warmly. "And maybe, if it's okay with you, Jake could come next time. I'd love to meet him properly, not as your boss, but as your friend." William felt something warm bloom in his chest. He'd absolutely love that. He's been asking questions about why I've been so happy lately. "Have you been happy lately?" Ava asked softly, looking directly into his eyes. "Yeah," William said honestly, meeting her gaze. "I really have been." Weeks turned into months. William and Ava's friendship grew naturally and beautifully. At the office, they remained completely professional, but weekends became their time: coffee dates, park visits with Jake, movie nights. Jake adored Ava from the first meeting. She never talked down to him, never dismissed his endless dinosaur facts as boring, and even brought him books about paleontology. One Saturday, the three of them visited the Natural History Museum, and William watched as Ava and Jake stood transfixed in front of a massive T-Rex skeleton, both completely absorbed. "Did you know," Jake said excitedly, "that T-Rex had the strongest bite force of any land animal that ever existed?" "I did not know that," Ava said seriously, crouching down to his level. "That's absolutely incredible. What else can you teach me?" As Jake launched into an enthusiastic lecture about Cretaceous period predators, Ava caught William's eye over Jake's head and smiled. In that perfect moment, William realized something that both terrified and thrilled him to his core. He was falling in love with her, not just attraction or a crush. Real, deep, terrifying love. It was a late Tuesday evening, 3 months after the text, as they'd started calling it. William and Ava were the last ones in the office, working together on a major presentation. The building was quiet, peaceful. "I think we're done," Ava said, saving the final file with a satisfied smile. "This is really good work." "We make a great team," William agreed. "We really do," Ava said softly, and something in her tone made William look up from his laptop. She was watching him with an expression he'd never seen before: vulnerable, open, almost scared. "William," she said quietly, "that text you sent me 3 months ago, do you still feel that way about me?" William's heart started pounding. They'd carefully avoided discussing his feelings directly, keeping everything light and friendly. But now, alone in the quiet office, that careful barrier seemed to be crumbling. "Every single day," William said honestly, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Actually, even more than I did back then." Ava stood up from her chair and walked over to where William sat. She leaned against his desk, looking down at him, and took a visible breath. "I need to tell you something," she said. "And I need you to just listen without interrupting, okay?" William nodded, not trusting his voice. "When you sent me that text, I was confused and surprised, but also relieved. Because I'd been trying so hard not to develop feelings for you. You're technically an employee, I'm your boss. And it's complicated and messy and against every professional boundary I've ever maintained. But then I read your message, and I realized you felt something too, and I thought maybe, just maybe, this could actually be something real and worth pursuing." She paused, gathering courage. "These last 3 months have been some of the happiest of my entire life, William. Getting to know you properly, spending time with Jake, feeling like maybe I could actually have both things: a successful career and a genuine personal life. You make me laugh. You challenge me intellectually. You see me as a complete person, not just a boss or a woman to be carefully managed. And she looked down, vulnerable, "I'm falling for you, really falling. And it scares me." William stood up, and now they were face to face, inches apart, the air between them electric. "I'm falling for you too," he said firmly. "I've been trying so hard not to, trying to be smart and careful, thinking about Jake and my job and all the potential complications. But I can't help it anymore, Ava. You're incredible. You're brilliant and funny and genuinely kind. And the way you are with my son makes my heart feel things I didn't think were possible anymore. I'm completely, utterly gone for you." Ava reached up slowly and touched his face, her fingers gentle against his jaw. "So what do we do about all of this?" "This," William said softly, and he kissed her. It started soft and tentative, testing the waters. But then Ava's hands moved to the back of his neck, pulling him closer. and the kiss deepened into something beautiful and passionate and absolutely right. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Ava was smiling radiantly. "We need to handle this properly," Ava said, still close to him. "I'll request to have you transferred to a different department tomorrow. That way there's no direct reporting relationship, no conflict of interest that could hurt either of us." "Are you absolutely sure?" William asked seriously. "I don't want to cause any problems for your career." "William," Ava said firmly, looking into his eyes, "you're worth it. What we have, is completely worth it." William stood in their shared apartment. They'd moved in together 2 months ago, watching Jake and Ava work on a volcano science project together. True to his promise from a year ago, he was helping Jake build it, and Ava had insisted on being involved. "More baking soda," Jake shouted as the volcano erupted dramatically, red-tinted vinegar foam pouring down the sides. "This is amazing," Ava laughed, her blonde hair in a messy bun, wearing one of William's old paint-stained t-shirts. William's phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. "Marcus, happy anniversary of the text that changed everything, man. Still can't believe you're with your former boss." Faced with tears of joy, William smiled and snapped a photo of Ava and Jake covered in volcano foam, both grinning at the camera. He sent it to Marcus with a simple caption, "Best mistake I ever made." "Dad, come help us," Jake called excitedly. "Coming, buddy," William said, setting down his phone and joining his family. As the volcano erupted again, coating all three of them in foam and making them laugh uncontrollably, William thought about that terrifying moment when he'd realized his catastrophic mistake. How panicked he'd been, how absolutely certain his entire life was over. He'd been right that his life was over. His old life, the one where he was just surviving, just going through the motions, not really living. But a beautiful new life had begun. One filled with genuine love, constant laughter, and the occasional embarrassing text message. Though these days, William obsessively triple-checked every recipient before hitting send. Ava looked up at him, volcano foam on her nose, and mouthed, "I love you." "I love you too," William said aloud, not caring that Jake could hear. "Gross," Jake said, but he was grinning widely. Sometimes life's biggest blessings come disguised as our most embarrassing mistakes, and William wouldn't change a single thing.